service to the Expo community. I've just finished with Michael Neal, so I was just recording with him. Hey everyone, thank you for being here, and I am now going to take us live to Facebook. If you're just watching us on YouTube, we're literally going to my guest joining me very shortly. Just bear with me. Okay, now let's look at it. Come on. Where's home, Elvis?
Plant City, Tampa, Florida.
Oh, Tampa.
Mm-hmm. Sunshine State.
Well, I'm in LA, Santa Monica.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so the weather was pretty crap, but it's good now. Bear with us, guys. We're just going live also on Facebook, so we'll be with you very shortly. Thank you for waiting. Okay, here we are, everyone. Thank you so much for waiting. Thank you for your patience. Bernardo Moya here, CEO of NLP Life Training, founder of The Best You, author of The Question, and I don't know, the believer in anything and everything is possible. So today, as we did last week, I've got a great lineup of, well, leading experts from all over the world, you know, who have vast expertise in NLP. And I'm sharing this on the YouTube channel. NLP Life Training. I'm also sharing it live on our private Facebook group, Bamla McKenna. And this will also be a podcast, which is going to be out on Inspiring People. That's my podcast. So it will be out there. Elvis, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Pleasure.
Well, for those of you that may or may not know, Mr. Elvis Lester is a master trainer in neuroscience, NLP, and a qualified teacher of hypnosis. He is the first and only licensed change master designated by Dr. Richard Bandler. Now, that's a title that is very impressive, and also who's giving you that. Elvis, thank you so much for being here. Great to have you share some of your amazing wisdom. How long have you been doing NLP for?
Since, let's say, 30 years, probably more. Back in the day, 89, something like that.
Wow, cool.
Started.
So you saw Richard with, well, the whole shebang, the ponytail, and you've seen it all, yeah?
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic. Good history.
So how's things with you? How are things with you? Obviously, with kind of, I know you've built, you know, you've got a phenomenal career. You've been part of, obviously, Richard's training program for so many years, assisting, and, you know, well, you know, God knows how many hundreds of practitioners and master practitioners and trainings you've done over the years. So personally, how did you get into NLP? How did you get attracted to, well, to doing a lot of what you've done your whole life?
Yeah, I started out as a mental health counselor and was working in a small town nearby, and went to a practitioner with a bunch of chiropractors, maybe 75. And it was a great experience. And one days, Dr. Bandler came in and did a guest spot. And so I got introduced at my very first practitioner and to Dr. Bandler. And after that, I started studying with Dr. Bandler. So stayed with it for the last 30 years. And then got my master practitioner and DHE, Design Human Engineering, and then the trainers training, and kicked it off from there.
So what's your thoughts regarding, you know, NLP? Obviously, a lot of us are coming into it in many different kinds of ways.
Mm-hmm.
I've always felt, you know, with love and respect to a lot of the other technologies that are out there. In my modest opinion, is that NLP is so essential in any set of skills and anything that you do in life, because we've got a lot of people in our community who are probably watching that, you know, are at different levels. Either they maybe read a couple of books, some of them have maybe done some courses or thinking about doing some training. But I mean, for me, having seen and promoted so many speakers over the years, I've always asked them the questions, are you NLP trained? And if they didn't have those set of skills, I just knew that they would, with love and respect. And I'm not saying that they're not a true professional, because I'm sure they've studied or they might have studied, you know, to do what they do. But, you know, I just feel that there's a phenomenal set of skills that are missing if you're not NLP trained. Isn't there?
Yeah, I believe it's, you know, the heart of communication and, you know, managing your state and, you know, you're running your brain. So if we can communicate more clearly and precisely and direct ourselves, and, you know, the power of a directed mind is irreplaceable. And also the basis of what we know NLP is based on is modeling. So modeling excellence and, you know, well forming our responses. So I always go back to the very basics, especially when I'm teaching someone and every time I do change work. So the base is NLP and how and what the person's doing behaviorally and how we can help them to make simple behavioral shifts that do profound transformation. So that's what I've relied on for the last 30 years. I like to say it's what I've done and what I'll always do. So,
and is that the essence of what change work is?
I believe so. You know, when a person comes in, we're modeling what's going on with them and how they're using their senses, you know, the see, the hear, the feel, and I call the saying and the doing and the viewing. And so how they view things, their perception, their perceptual filters, the things that they detail things with, and that they come through. And so we can actually shift these with what we know with NLP and what we call meta programs or thinking preferences, sorting patterns, perceptual filters, whatever name you choose. And then we can actually change the way they perceive themselves, or their life, or, you know, how they create reality, so to speak, their maps.
Now, I've got a lot of people joining us here today, and obviously in particular, we're going to be discussing some of the current situation and what we have right now. Having the right frame of mind and obviously being able to, you know, look at what we're going through at this moment and making sure that we're aware of whatever fear we might have or whatever concerns we may have is probably part of the challenge that a lot of people are probably going through at the moment. What are you advising and how are you helping clients of yours to get through this challenging times we've got right now?
Well, I think the main thing is stay positive, which I think is what we are doing here, is focusing on positivity, right? And so, you know, the opposite of that's negative and not so good way of thinking about things. So I think that's the number one well-formed condition that I focus on when I work with people, is to make it positive and to catch ourselves, to direct ourselves, to pay attention, to be aware, be conscious, and that'll determine your state and how you think and feel as well. And so by tracking what it is you are doing, the sensory experience, so the small chunks, but it comes out in the language, it comes out in our gestures, it even comes out in the way we move our face or the tone of our voice. So what I've been very well trained by the good doctor for sure, that all of these things make a big difference. And then I utilize various techniques, state control, collapsing anchors, all the basics, but also hypnosis, and then a lot of things to interrupt the pattern. So how we can get people out of these non-conscious patterns. So when I'm working with people, and I also use now eye movement a little bit more than I used to, and closely track what people are doing. So it's in the detection of the patterns that they are doing that we can actually find the answers. They're within that.
Brilliant. Great. Thank you, Elvis. So I've got a couple of other guests that are joining us, and Elvis, please, I mean, the whole process throughout these few hours that we're here, feel free to stay as long as you can and engage. Okay. I'm going to continue to obviously come to you and ask you questions, and feel free also just to get involved. Now, I've got a couple of other guests that I'm literally going to give you access. I know you're all coming in at different times, so bear with me. At some point, I'll let you in because we've got a great lineup again today, and I just want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to kind of share some ideas and some insights. Paul, I think you were going to be joining. I'm going to give you access now. So I know with you, Paul, feel free to just join us whenever you want. So Elvis, I know you've been doing a lot of things online as well over the years, haven't you? You've been kind of like there,
I have, yeah.
putting things out there because, you know, well, a lot of the challenges that I think a lot of coaches, NLP trainers are having, some of them, is obviously, you know, transitioning quickly into this new that we have, which is a lot of it, or all of it right now online. So how has this transition affected you, if in any way? How it has affected you, or are you doing more of?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, I just got chills through my whole body. I think I've been preparing myself for this kind of thing for a decade, you know, just really on and off the web portals. I used, you know, WebEx way back, and been doing, preparing myself, priming myself to, you know, do video, have that index of readiness high, and go with the video and all the different tools, and a little bit more of an accelerated model. So recording and, you know, broadcasting, live streaming. So I've got a lot of experience doing that now, and I feel very comfortable with it. And so, you know, I think the time has come. I really think we've turned a corner, pivoted to where we can actually start taking more advantage of the online training.
Absolutely, and you know, it's something that I've kind of looked at and understood, and I do appreciate, you know, the concern, you know, with Richard over the years around, you know, doing a certification, or, you know, NLP certification. But there's obviously a lot of skills and skill sets that, you know, that you can do apart from, obviously, you know, the CDs that, you know, for hypnosis, or becoming more confident. And but, you know, I'm also kind of very excited about where this is going to go, because it's, you know, it's starting conversations, but, you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I do believe, you know, we will get back into the seminar rooms again, you know, and people will go back to restaurants. I know there's a lot of people that love catastrophe and negativity, and love a moan and a complain, and think that we'll never ever get back together. But trust me, we will.
Exactly.
So,
yeah,
Paul,
this is a nice addition to it too. I just think this is an ancillary. It's a very supportive tool, right? So that you can actually do all kinds of things, you know, coaching, and I even do some therapeutic work online. So, you know, I just feel like time has come from that perspective to you know, even in a training situation, you can do breakout rooms, you can give exercises, and you can pop in there and do some supervision. So it's really, it's exciting to me to see that happening.
Perfect. So we got Paul here, Paul Fitzgerald, who's a results and mindset coach that uses NLP skills to coach and transform, helping people obviously achieve big goals, and developing a bulletproof mindset. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Hey, Bernard. Very well. How are you?
Very good. Are you at home?
I am indeed, yes.
Good. I asked everyone that question. Everyone said, yes, I am. You know, kind of, I normally stay at home. I said, no, I'm out. I'm at the restaurant. I've just come around the back. Because the white people, oh, you can't.
Can't you see the crowd behind me there?
Yeah. No, it's all good. I get it. This is a great opportunity, because I was talking to my team the other day. I said, listen, guys, you've been complaining all these years that you can't get hold of your clients. Guess what? They're all at home right now. But it's a time, you know, we were talking about that last week. This is the time to really engage with them, to connect with them and say, hey, how are you? You know, I'm not here to sell you my next course yet. I'm not here to sell you the next thing. I'm just really trying to find out how you are, and how you're using those NLP skills. And if you haven't, well, how can we help you with what we might have? So how's things with you, and how are you helping and supporting and connecting with your clients?
You know what? In terms of my sort of work methods, etc., not a lot has changed. I was using Zoom anyway, and most of my clients were remote anyway, so not face to face. So in that respect, not a huge amount of differences. The only thing I would say in terms of my methods and behaviour, a little bit more TLC, I would say, a little bit more sort of self-care promotion. You know, that people are really taking care of themselves, and reframing is a sort of reoccurring theme, but it seems to vary from client to client. Some of them are, you know, I've got a fella and his wife who've actually had the virus.
Okay.
They haven't still got it now, or the symptoms have died down. But yeah, they had full blown. So obviously couldn't really work with him for a few weeks, but obviously kept checking in. Other clients, you know, it's up to them. Some of them want to talk about the virus, others don't. Others say it's actually a release from the, you know, the day-to-day lockdown, being surrounded by other people, have a quick chat with us remotely. Sometimes does a world of good for the mindset. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, we were talking last week, you know, we had a great lineup of also, you know, master practice trainers that, you know, had been or are part of kind of the assisting team over the years. And we were saying that, you know, having this skill set that we have is so advantageous. I think, you know, kind of, you can really tell I mean, you know, there was such a variety of expertise there, you know, people that are coaching, you know, athletes, there was other people that work with clients on mindset, other people that are really kind of training other people or producing content or, you know, teaching hypnosis. But I think actually having the skill set, the NLP skill set right now is it really is a game changer, you know,
Definitely.
For so many people. And I really felt how in control everyone was within reason. You know, we've all got our own personal challenges and concerns, but, you know, it was just great to see so much confidence and so many great tips and ideas that we were all giving.
Yeah.
How are you finding, or I mean, we was also sharing the ideas that there's a lot of creativity. Are you finding yourself being more creative than ever, putting more things out there?
Yeah, well, my passion is exercise. It kind of runs alongside the NLP. I see the NLP as a lot of the mental side, keeping that in check with the clients. But we also do a fair bit of exercise and energy work. So definitely have to get creative with that at the moment, obviously with restricted space, restricted equipment. My wife in particular is super creative at the moment. The garden looks superb these days. And she's doing various bits and pieces in the, she'll disappear into the garage for a period of time and come out with, like, you know, this wonderful new woodwork that she does and does a lot of words and stuff like that on a lot of woodwork. And same with the clients. Obviously, I think the key thing is we're not stuck in, we're stuck in physically, but are we stuck in mentally? We only are if we choose to be.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the thing. Listen, we're in, but our mind has to be out, and that's kind of where we really need to be focusing on. So you, Elvis, in particular, and Rachel, I'm going to let you in a minute. I've got Rachel Joseph joining us. So Elvis, what are you focusing more on now, if anything in particular? Because obviously you're a creative mind as well. I find myself, you know, obviously not only implementing and doing a lot of things that, you know, I had planned to do. And I swear to God, I normally work 14, 16 hours pretty much every time. I'm working 16, 18 hours minimum every day now. So what are you creating, developing now that, you know, you feel could be of great use moving forward?
Well, I'm creating a series of webinars and I've been doing some of those, and I'm finding the pieces of, you know, gems that are kind of left on the table that I think are really powerful pieces, and like the power of questioning, pattern interrupts, presuppositions, these kinds of things. So I'm pulling that out of what I've learned and offering that. And I've also, you know, been working on eye movement system, or what I call eye movement emergence, how things emerge in the field around us and how we can actually begin to use those as tools or operators. And so I've created a system of eye movement from beginning to end to do therapy coaching and this kind of thing. And so working the visual field or the visual sense channel, and to, you know, create great states and change work and this kind of thing. So, you know, doing recordings and providing, you know, a lot of different types of ideas and topics for people to take part in. And I'm also getting creative too with my visuals and, you know, my branding and this kind of thing on a personal level. I enjoy doing that. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I have Rachel Joseph in the house. So
Hello.
Now, I don't know who you are, but if you have never heard of Rachel Joseph, well, obviously you haven't been part of the NLP community. Rachel, well, she's a dear friend, and Rachel, well, she's a trainer in NLP.
Yay.
She's extremely knowledgeable. She's coached clients for many, many years. But apart from that, you know, she was obviously very heavily involved in working and promoting Richard in many different ways, and one of them was working as my office wife, as I called her, and she was our office manager. So Rachel Joseph has been involved in training and helping people go to do some training and take them through the whole process. So hold their hand on, hey, how can NLP help me? And then taking them through the journey. And I've got to say that Rachel on her own was always an absolute force. One of the saddest days of my life was when this woman stopped working, for heaven's sake. And but you know, she's been a
me blush.
So Rachel, you've coached a lot of clients over the years, and you've helped a lot of people over the years to overcome all sorts of things. What do you find, or what do you think are now, you know, the most essential set of skills, tools, or techniques, you know, that people could use or should use in this time, you know, especially if they have fear, if they have anxiety? Because, you know, I was saying last week, boys and girls, especially if you're NLP trained and you're a coach and a trainer and you work with people, you're going to have clients coming out of your ears, because there's phobics just being cooked at home right now for so long that when they come out, we're going to have clients left, right, and center. I mean, you know, I was saying that I went upstairs to the terrace and I must have been at least 20 feet from this couple, 20 feet. And their eyes were literally popping out of their eyes because they were just really concerned that I was going to get close to them. So there's so much fear, there's so much anxiety. And I can only imagine when we do get back into the restaurants, oh, is he too close? Or, oh, you know, why is he so what's are the best kind of techniques that you think people should be maybe using, looking at in this situation we're in, Rachel?
Okay, well, first of all, I have to say that, you know, I don't claim to be an expert like everybody else that's
but
here.
You are.
No, I'm not an expert. I'm just somebody that's been there, done it, worn the t-shirt, ironed it, washed it, and everything. What I am doing at the moment, since I've left NLP, I've become a mother. So that's taking up a lot of my time, and I am actually chair of the PTA of my school at the moment. So what I've been doing at the moment is I am creating a Facebook page and somewhere that our community can all come together to help to support them. And what I think is really important is humor at the moment. Is to not take things so seriously. So we're all posting like funny memes, do you call them, or memes? Do you call them memes or memes? Yeah. So just to have some fun and just to laugh, and just to inject a bit of playfulness and childishness into everything at the moment. That's what I'm trying to do with my parent community, just to try and laugh and have some humor.
Absolutely. Well, we were talking about last week one of Richard's great quote, which is, you know, humor is your invisible shield, you know, and it's so true. And obviously a lot of the work that Richard has done over the years, well, you know, and NLP do, you know, NLP trainers and master practitioners should use, is humor to kind of like, you know, make fun of, you know, their stupidity, you know, or the way that they may be acting that may come across stupid. So I think, you know, it is essential. And we were talking as well, this, you know, what you focus on expands. If you spend 2 or 3 hours every day watching the news, or 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon, it's not going to help. It's not going to help.
No.
So no, humor is really important.
And also staying in the moment is really important, because I've noticed that a few people have been saying to me, oh, but you know, what's going to happen when the lockdown ends, and how are we going to merge back into society and the economy and this, that, and the other? And you know, if you start to think about the future, it makes you go mad, basically, because none of us know what's going to happen. So it's about just staying in the moment and being in the present as much as you can. That's what I've been trying to do anyway. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think kind of one of the things, I mean, I shared a video message yesterday where I was talking about focus, and the focus was about enjoying, kind of, you know, focusing on what is it you're doing right now. What is it, you know, making sure that you compartmentalize, you know, your time, use it wisely, because I swear to God that in 2 or 3 months from now, when we're back on the streets, when we will eventually get back to some kind of normality, we will miss the opportunity that we had kind of, I was talking to someone yesterday, who's, I don't know, I think he's more or less my age, so he's obviously young, and he was talking about, he's got all these kids at home. He's never had that in 25 years because he's always been traveling all over the world, so he has the opportunities. Yes, they get fed up after a little while of each other, but he just loves that all these families under one roof. We're talking as well about using this time wisely to make sure that you are, writing that book or writing your diary or spending some time playing with your kids. And that's kind of what I think is really important, is to appreciate what we have. And it's all down to gratitude as well, I think, is being grateful, because, a lot of us are concerned about the future, but we should be grateful that a lot of us, I mean, I normally on these webinars, I always have a toilet roll to show that I've got one, because now having a toilet roll makes you a successful individual. And I swear to God, I went to 3 supermarkets, they didn't have any. So, hey, you've got a toilet roll, you've got a fridge full of food, you got Netflix. Hey, you're okay. You're okay.
Exactly. But you know what, Bernardo, something that Laura Spicer said last week, is that it's okay to be not okay as well. Yeah. It's okay if you just want to curl up into a ball and go to sleep sometimes. You don't have to learn a new language. Nobody's asking you to become an entrepreneur. There's no pressure. A lot of my parents at the school are feeling like, there's a lot of pressure on them to be amazing parents at the moment, to suddenly become teachers overnight, to spend lots and lots of time with their children, to learn a new language, to learn a new skill, to use this time wisely. That's what they're being told. And, I did a little video for them a couple of days ago saying, it's okay if you don't want to do that. It's okay. Everything's okay. How you get through this time is right for you, and that's good for you. So, I think there's a balance. Yes, it is an amazing opportunity to use this time creatively and constructively, but it's also an amazing opportunity to just take a step back, take your foot off the pedal for a while, and just say, you know what, I'm just gonna do me for a bit, and I'm just gonna do what I need to do, a bit of self-care. So
no, that is so true. Kind of relaxing and not putting more pressure on yourself on doing things. And I also believe, because not everyone is going to become an international motivational speaker. Not everyone is going to be filling in the stadiums, and no one ever,
I might.
Well, hey, you can do anything you want. You can do anything you want, Rachel Joseph. But you are blessed with God gifts, but not everyone does. So, Elvis, what are we, as far as out of all the, you've been talking a little bit more about eye accessing cues as something that you're moving more towards now. What about hypnosis to help you go through, I don't know, because as we know, hypnosis is extremely powerful, and there's a lot of, obviously, Richard's content out there already, and all of us, have something. What's your thoughts regarding hypnosis and being able to help people with fears and anxieties? Because I know we're having this conversation here, and a lot of people might not necessarily understand the power of hypnosis.
Well, the first thought that comes to mind, it's a massive pattern interrupt. So if we think about it, it gets you out of the state that you're in. And if you're doing closed eye work where they just close their eyes, right? Then you go inside and you relax and you access a comfortable state. You're getting more peace of mind and what I call mind peace. And you access a different, set of skills and abilities. And so with the breathing and the, directing yourself and letting go and clearing, I do that a couple, 3 times a day. And I found myself through this time having to do a little bit more of that because, I notice my energy levels, and then I'll take a break and maybe do 10 or 20 minutes of self-hypnosis, which is, maybe I'm listening to an audio I've created, or I may just go and drift inside and relax and, find that comfortable state and feeling, and then notice my body more and release and energize myself. So it does refresh you. And I believe it resets your state, and it clears your mind and your body. And so I think that's part of how to deal with stress and to heal and to be more present. And so it's a powerful way just to take care of yourself, really. And I create a couple of audios and a video. I believe we could share one of those that we talked about. And but it's really just to let go and not hold on to things. and to, recenter yourself. So it's very powerful. And if you do a session with someone, obviously, then, you can work with them in very detailed ways to release whatever it may be. As if it's fear, there's a good intention behind that. It's a signal. So we read it, we release it. It's like, a road sign, you read it and it just moves on by. And the hypnotic trance, it's just much easier to learn, I believe. So.
And a lot of you that may or may not have attended some of Richard's workshops or maybe worked with an NLP trainer or master practitioner or practitioner, it is obviously, kind of one of the things that, we use hypnosis a lot is obviously, for people to overcome limiting beliefs, and a lot of the times, well, a limiting belief is something that you believe to be true. I'm afraid of snakes, I'm afraid of spiders, I can't fly. And a lot of these things, which we've seen in the courses, that people have had for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, all their life, can literally, can disappear within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it literally disappears, and all of a sudden that limiting belief is gone. And I know that might be surprising. A lot of us have experienced it, know it, but a lot of you might not believe it to be true, but it is true. Trust me, the power of hypnosis and using hypnosis wisely and cleverly with, the techniques that we've all learned is a game changer. So I'm going to let you in a minute, Fiona. Paul, what does it take to have a strong mindset?
What does it take? It takes a lot of tweaking from me as their coach.
Yeah, a lot of tweaking, yeah?
A lot of tweaking. I've even got myself, the nickname is Tweakinator at the moment. So, obviously going a lot into how people are thinking, the thought patterns, behaviours, how the behaviours relate to the mind. And yeah, tweaking it, getting inside there. And I'm finding that the biggest transformations are actually quite often just take tiny tweaks. It's not quite often, I'm going to use the words to say people aren't screwed up. People are just need a bit of rejigging and a bit of realignment, including myself. That's why I got on this journey myself. So yeah, but for me personally, there's a certain innate powerful mindset that I'm still learning about, still developing, and still having conversations about how I can personally take that from myself and bottle it up and basically mimic that and repeat that elsewhere. That's my challenge, because I've been doing this for about a year now, NLP. So I'm a virgin, Rachel. I'm an early NLPer. I'm really early on with it. So
good for you. Yeah. Good for you. Welcome aboard.
Amazing journey, though. Definitely an amazing journey.
It is. Hey, we've got here Fiona Harold. Hey, Fiona, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Fiona Campbell, thank you. I'm very well, Bernardo. And good evening, everyone. How are you?
Hi, Fiona.
Hiya. Long time no see.
Yeah, you look great.
So Fiona is a licensed NLP business coaching trainer, Amazon best-selling author, registered and approved growth coach, growth and leadership development trainer for Growth Accelerator. Are you still in Dubai, Fiona?
No, I'm now in the UK. I moved back to the
UK
last year, but I still do a lot of work in the Middle East.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think it's all shut down there as well. So
this week I have been running an NLP for Business Skills course in Qatar online.
Oh, okay.
So this is a course that we deliver we're delivering the Qatar Foundation, so it's the government out there. I've been delivering it as a course, a corporate training for about 4 years, and they've switched to online. So we actually took it online for the first time, and it's been really interesting.
It's fascinating how everyone was semi-reluctant, and I'm not saying, because I know a lot of people have been online for quite some time. Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of things that, could have been done, should have been done, and maybe experimented online, but they've been quite closed-minded that certain things can't be done. But obviously, hey, everyone's on Zoom now. We've gone from 20 million to 200 million. Buy some shares in Zoom. I own half a share in it, actually. So I would suggest to carry on doing that. So what are you experiencing? Obviously, hey, the guys in the Middle East, they probably got quite a bit of oil left. So, financially, they're okay. how are you, and what are you experiencing in the business world, and in helping the decision makers, the CEOs, the founders of and managers of teams to keep their eye on the prize? And I got to say, a lot of the people, and I know you've experienced this yourself, we tend to think because someone's a CEO of a company or an MD for a company or a chairman for a company that they have all the answers and they're extremely confident people that make global decisions. And the fact is, we know behind the scenes, a lot of them are literally pissing their pants. So, kind of, what's your thoughts regarding that?
I'm seeing, I've been busier in the last 3 weeks than I've been for ages. I do a lot of association work, so I tend not to, in the Middle East, I don't tend to see clients directly. I work in association with companies out there. And I have seen about 6 of the organizations that I work with have literally pivoted straight online. And there's so much work coming in, and the clients they're talking to are accepting it. They're working with the facilitators they know, and they know how we work, and they're willing to take a chance of putting people to the online courses and see how it goes with them. And that was it went live this week with one of the companies, and I'm actually working about 4 different projects now.
So with MDs and people in positions, obviously right now adapting to change, welcoming change, exploring new possibilities, and acting quickly is key. In order to do that, clarity, mindset, the set of skills that you need. What are, in your opinion, the best set of skills that are good? Well, someone that might be an entrepreneur could or should have.
Flexibility, but also to understand that you can build the same rapport online when you can see and hear people as you do in person. So I really think we've reached a stage with technology, with the quality of technology, that we can deliver training and we can work. It's just another medium, and it's actually thinking of it as a classroom, especially as Elvis mentioned earlier, with Zoom, with lots of the other platforms, we can go into breakout rooms. We can actually use the platform, use the technology exactly the same way as we would a physical training room. So it's understanding that although things are online, we can almost replicate, not everything, but we can replicate a huge percentage of the training online that we can do face to face. And what I'm seeing is people are starting to look at this, they're starting to think about the savings. I mean, my husband he works for a big international consultancy company, and they have been trying to push their consultants into online working for 2 years. And there's been a lot of resistance. Now that everyone's having to go online, there's been a 20% increase in productivity. And they're just starting to look at the massive cost savings they're going to be making. So it's having the ability to step outside the immediate situation and just have an overview of looking at of what we're doing just now as an addition to how you can add this to business in the future. So it's not this and then it will all change. I really believe there's going to be, what we're learning just now is going to run alongside people working in offices, face-to-face training, face-to-face coaching. But I think it's having the ability to accept this as a medium that actually you can get real heart-to-heart connection with people.
I agree. And I think this is definitely a new reality as far as, a lot of companies are experiencing, hey, so they're working from home, they don't have to commute, they're not spending hours or time traveling, and they're actually being more efficient, because if you can monitor their performance. But Rachel, my question to you, because last week we were talking, someone was saying, I've got to have my morning PJs and my night PJs. I had someone on the Best You community the other day. She's a stylist, and you know, she came in all glammed and looked beautiful, and she was saying about making an effort, obviously, to get up in the day to do. How do we stay motivated? You know, how do we stay motivated if we're at work? You know, I put a shirt on and I wear pants as well, because I'm going to share this. Hopefully no one's listening. I got up once and I had my pants and I didn't have any pants on. Luckily I did have my underpants, but anyway, it could have been very scary. So how can we stay motivated now that we're at home to kind of like, you know, perform, work, but at the same time, you know, not lose our mojo?
You're asking me that question.
I'm asking you that question, Rachel.
The girl that's in leggings, a sweatshirt, no makeup. I've said that
to you, Rachel. You can wear a paper bag over your head and you still look amazing.
Bernardo.
Come on.
How do you stay motivated? That's a very, very good question. I think it comes back to what I was saying before. For me, I just have to take each moment, literally each moment as it comes. So when I wake up in the morning, first of all, I wake up grateful that I'm healthy and that I'm not coughing and I don't have a temperature, and that motivates me. I also have a husband and an 8-year-old child, so I have to be motivated. I can't kind of roll around and sleep in bed and watch Netflix all day. It is difficult. I don't know about where everybody else is, but here in London, the weather's really lovely and it's sunny, and that always helps people to feel motivated. It helps me anyway when I see the sun out the window. But I don't know what Fiona was saying about people, you know, communicating more online. You have to be motivated to look good if you know people are going to be seeing you. I didn't know that I was going to be on here tonight, otherwise I would have made an effort.
I pushed you.
But that's part of it. You know, yesterday, or no, was it 2 days ago, I ordered something online and some new clothes. I just fancied treating myself. And you know, this is no lie. I actually put the new clothes on to go 10 minutes down the road to the convenience store because we'd run out of milk. And I felt so good that I dressed in new clothes, I put a bit of makeup on, and the minute I got home, I took them off because I thought I'm just going to be ruining them at home. But, you know, just for those 10 minutes walking back and forth to the store, you know, that made me feel good. So it's trying to find things that make you feel good and happy. And yeah, it's hard. It's not an easy one. But
well, I think one of the things that I would highly recommend, and I know there's a lot of people that are probably, you know, like I actually just had an interview with Michael Neal before this, and I know you were there, Rachel, and we were kind of talking about caring, you know, and I think, you know, in order to be a good coach, in order to help and assist people, it simply is about caring. It is about listening. So I really feel that this is a time when you need to go out and find those people that listen to you, that motivate you. Ideally, you know, if you can afford it, get yourself a mentor, get yourself a coach, get yourself a trainer, someone that can push you. Because, you know, kind of one of the things that I love doing when I work and mentor people is I love pushing them. I love holding them accountable. And they love it too. You know, they love to know that someone has got my back. I think it's really important in life. And I think it's very important if this is what we do, you know, if we're NLP practitioners, master practitioners, trainers, if we are in this personal, professional growth industry, is making sure that we have people that are smarter than us, that can push them more, people that can take us to different levels. And if we can't afford it or we don't have it, you know, identify those people that are out there that you could go and speak to or seek advice from. Because what I will say from all of us, and I'm sure we've experienced that, there's so much generosity, isn't there, out there on people that have phenomenal expertise that are really happy to give you their time, to give you a tip, to give you some kind of advice on anything. And I just think a lot of people are scared to ask. And I think it's understanding that you can ask and seeking for help is important. Anyone jump in?
Can I just add something? I think also as a coach, I mean, I'm not a coach anymore, but for people on here that are coaches, and for me personally, helping other people, the parents at the school and other societies that I belong to, and I do help people, I'm just an ear for them, that motivates to be able to motivate other people and help other people, you have to be motivated yourself. So knowing that I'm helping other people, or that I'm at the end of a phone for somebody else, makes me get up out of bed, you know, think good thoughts to be able to help others. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Fiona, did you want to add something?
Talking about getting motivated, a lot of people are having to work from home. So my tips, because I've been helping quite a lot of people that are having to work from home, and my tip is prepare yourself as if you're going to work.
Yeah.
So it's getting up, having a shower, put your makeup on if you're a woman or a guy, but get the hair done and get yourself.
My hair takes me forever, Fiona. But
I know. Oh, I know. It's getting yourself into that state. So you're switching your brain on.
Yeah.
If you have to work.
Yeah.
Because, and I've been helping, I've actually been teaching a lot about the Kubler-Ross change curve. And I put out a free online training on that to really help people understand the different emotions that you go through change, especially at the beginning, the shock and the anger, and then going into the total apathy. And that's been helping a lot of the leaders I work with help their teams. They're understanding the different emotional states that people are at, and then helping them move along that curve. Then something else would happen. Then they go back. But it's been aware, and I love what you said, Rachel, as well. It's okay to curl up. It's okay to feel I can't cope with this. But if you're being paid to work from home, there still has to be, we have to be very gentle with people, help them through that, but help them to get motivated. But I really believe routine, and going through the same system as you would normally do. The fact you're maybe walking to your kitchen table rather than getting on the tube or getting on a bus or getting into your car.
Yeah.
It's going into that mindset. Okay, right. I'm starting work now, and setting up your anchor and whatever you need to get that state going. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's great advice, Fiona. Elvis, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I think having a proper motivation strategy is a great idea. So if you have that, you know, how do you usually motivate yourself? And then one of the things that I found myself doing is segmenting my roles. So if I'm, you know, creator or editor or producer or presenter or, you know, recorder. And so I give myself enough time in each of those areas, and father and husband, and, you know, and kind of break state and get into one of these roles. And then, you know, I have it already set up really what state I want to be in, and how it's empowering, and what my values and goals are and my intentions are for that time period to get done. So I'm very regimented that way. And so sequencing it out. And so I try to keep a vision of what it is in each of those areas that I want to get done today, because I do find this to be a very powerful time to be creative and to manifest things. So that's my goal, is to take most advantage that I can of this time that we've been given to produce what I've had my mind on for quite some time. And so it's a commitment state as a part of that. And I think the motive in mind, which you hold that in mind, and, you know, I got a vision with that, and there's a sequence of success. And so I say shop the mind first. You know, you have that already connected up in some way, shape, or form. If you do seek outside assistance, I think that maybe a model of excellence, someone that you maybe made contact with, or that you admire what they do. I always keep that in mind. I have a few people that I really just try to, you know, do as best I can as some of the types of results that they have. And I've, you know, modeled them very closely for a long time. And so I just put myself in their shoes and say, well, what could I be doing that would actually accelerate what I do, and how that person has gotten those results. So I like that whole idea of modeling. And so I try to model it, self-modeling each day. That's what I do.
That's brilliant. That's great. That's great advice. You know, a motivation strategy, and obviously putting yourself in the state when you're going to be doing different things. You know, as quite rightly, you know, you can't be from, you know, I'm just working now for 2 hours to then all of a sudden become, you know, the parent. And
yeah, there are discrete states for each of those things that you're doing, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And please don't do what Paul Boris does. Paul Boris puts his kids in the car, you know, when he gets fed up with them. That's not right. I'm only joking, okay? I keep saying this because I keep saying that Paul Boris does that. He's got an 18-year-old kid, so he's never going to put him in the car. It's the other way around. His son will probably put him in the car. But I'm just saying is, you know, change your state, relax, and make sure that, you know, you get on that. I have that same thing. I have this ability to multitask a hell of a lot of things. And not only that, I've got it kind of in my head what each of these things, what I need to do for each and every one of them. And when I get into doing something, I can just literally get into doing them, and I just literally get into that role. Because I also kind of have like a short, so my focus does, I can't do something for a very long time. I need to go to do something else. It's a good job for me. I run my own business, so I can do what I want. But, you know, I think having systems and strategies obviously in place is key. So what I wanted to, I've got a couple of guests joining me. I think Larysa, you're going to join us whenever you're ready. I think I've just let you in the chat. Paul, with your tweaking and working with clients, what do you think is the most powerful NLP technique that you've used? And maybe hopefully there's something else if you already used one. What is for you the most powerful technique that you feel has kind of an instant result on people?
The switch technique I seem to use the most. That seems to really get the best results. And now and again I've ventured into using the timeline therapy, which was quite a challenge for me the first few times doing it. But I've had some real good wins with that. In particular, it's people with sort of addictions or food issues, poor relationships with food and things like that. Trying to find out where it all came from and trying to remedy it that way. So they're the two most common ones that I use.
Okay, perfect, great. So we've got Larysa just joined us. Larysa, you know what? I'm not going to actually pronounce, but I don't want to insult you, Larysa. I'm not going to pronounce your surname. How do you pronounce your surname?
So my last name Gnatyshyn. It's Ukraine. I'm Ukrainian. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so Larysa is an experienced certified NLP coach and practitioner. She holds a monthly group therapy sessions, PSY talks in Abu Dhabi. Are you based in Abu Dhabi?
Yes, I'm living in Abu Dhabi.
Okay, great. And how are things over there?
It's good. Like we're adapting to new reality. Everything's changing. So.
Yeah. Okay, great. So what are you doing now, and how are you assisting and helping your clients now that we're all doing this remotely? What are you finding yourself doing more of?
So I'm doing the group talks, psychological talks, and I'm doing individual consultations. So of course the world is changing, and like now everything, all services are going online, and it was challengeable for me, but I also managed to go online. So I started to do online live talks and online consultations.
Okay. And out of all the things that you've learned, you know, from NLP, what are you finding is the most valuable set of skills that you find yourself using more frequently?
You know, I was thinking about that now we're all witnesses of the challenging time in the history of the world. And but this time will pass. And after 5 years, it will be only our memories. So like, and we're creating these memories. So yes, we cannot change situation, but we can change our attitude and we can change our reaction to it. And for me, the most valuable technique is reframing. You know, because I'm using it a lot with my clients, because a lot of people are now in the state of anxiety, worries, they feel stressed, and I'm trying to change this focus from negativity to positivity, to see what this event, which opportunities, which resources, which benefits it can bring. And like, if just to show like example, for instance, the phrase, I'm stuck at home, I must stay at home. But we can switch it to, I'm blessed to stay safe at home. I am blessed to have time to do things which I always postpone. I am blessed to spend quality time with my family. So we switch from something negative to something positive. And other things, like for instance, for parents, it's even more challenging time, because for the kids, we're like mirror for them. So they learn what's going on in the world from our reactions. And they see how we cope with stress and they actually can model it, you know. So it's our also mission to show them a good strategy of coping with stress, with worries. So for them to model something resourceful, something efficient for them.
Well, that's great. And I think one of the things that obviously, you know, we've been talking a lot about reframing. I think I shared something last week, which I might have repeated a few times now, but a friend of mine was talking about, you know, imagine, you know, you've got two options. If you had two options, you know, you got your job, but you're dead, you know, kind of, I suppose you would rather be alive, you know. So at the end of the day, it's putting things in perspective. Now that's pretty drastic and pretty dramatic, but the bottom line is that, you know, there's always a silver lining. There's always a way to look at things differently. There's always a way to see the advantage of kind of what we're going through. And I'm sure we've all got many life experiences where we believe, you know, kind of we hit rock bottom, it could have never got worse. And then all of a sudden we got on the other side. And then, as you quite rightly pointed out, it was a memory, you know, and if anything, it made us stronger and it made us more, you know, and those are skills. Everything that we do, you know, everything, all the experiences that we have make us stronger, make us wiser. And this provides us information for us to be able to use and do things differently in the future. Elvis, I wanted to ask you around timelines. You know, I'm a massive believer and I love timelines. And I every time I work with my clients or when I work with groups, when I've done like programs where I've done 5 or 6 months and I've worked with them long term, I've always liked to do a timeline at the beginning and a timeline at the end, to, you know, because I remember how it impacted me and how I did one, and then a few years later, you know, it was, so it impacted me in many different ways. Your thoughts on timelines?
I believe that it's simple to do, to elicit a timeline. You know, we can actually mark it. And if you're working online, you can, you know, whether it's, you have to learn how to do it with your screen, past, present, and future. Okay. So your hand movements and gestures, they all count when you're doing these online trainings. And so if we use a timeline, I think, and I do therapeutic work as well, change work, you know, one of the techniques that I utilize is change history, where you actually disassociate and look at the timeline and travel back and forth on the timeline to access and, you know, find out what's missing and insert resources when you do access the resources and take them back and insert them. So that's resource insertion. And so it makes it really easy to be able to go back, and I believe we are updating the memory and adding new learning to that. It's not changing and erasing the memory as much as it is just associating new learning, new resources to it, new perspective. And so, in fact, when you're working on the future portion of the timeline as well, you can do the same kind of thing, insert resources in the future and have those already marked out and planned and somewhat. So, of course, it's not going to be exactly like that, but you create resourceful experience, resourceful states, even for the future and in the present. So, you know, you can actually do so much with it. It's pretty amazing. I use it probably on a regular basis, and even with the eye movement, because there are specific spatial locations, and we use position, and people are playing these out like they're movies of these experiences and events. They have their own little timeline or sequence that's occurring as well. So it's really good to detail things with as well. And so I like it a lot, and use it for coaching and also for training, and how you actually can take those roles I talked about and start to sequence the successes there that you'd like to accomplish and plan out. So it's pretty powerful.
Fiona, you work with a lot of corporates and a lot of entrepreneurs, and obviously, I mean, for us, I mean, you know, we had. Well, we do live trainings. So we've done the trainings, we do the trainings with Richard in London, and then we do our big expos. You know, we had one here in LA, which we had 12,000 people pre-register, and we literally postponed, you know, 8-9 days before. So, you know, we luckily had an online platform, and all we're doing right now is uploading a lot of content there online right now. We had a lot of online content, we just didn't have a lot of courses. So, but luckily, you know, it's caught us ahead of the game, whereby we will have a phenomenal repertoire of courses there in a relatively short period of time. But I feel as an entrepreneur, that a lot of people aren't realizing how quickly they have to change and how quickly they have to embrace this change. And I get it, that change for a lot of people is a scary word. For a lot of people, change, you know, but change is simply evolution. It's simply transition. It's part of growing. How and what are the best ways to change, you know, and to be able to kind of like, you know, adapt your business or personal life?
Let me address personal first of all. One of the things is to start to become aware of your meta programs. If you are running very same meta programs, you can only adapt to change one bit at a time. If you're running different meta programs, you embrace change. Change is what drives you. And the majority of people run, we like things same, we like routine, we like to know where we are, we like to have a rough idea of what's happening. So my thing about change is always do it one bit at a time. If you try and change too much at the one time, you'll get totally overwhelmed, or the majority of people get overwhelmed. Some people, that's how they thrive. They want things to be different all the time. So when you're working with teams or when you're working with your business, it's looking to see, yes, we're changing, but we also, when we change one little bit at a time, we can adapt very quickly, as long as it's small chunks we're getting the change in. We saw it this week with a team that had never, ever done any training online. We set up all the expectations that this was the first time for everyone. We were going to be learning, we were going to be making mistakes. We helped them feel really comfortable about making mistakes. I was making mistakes, I was learning as well. And by day 3, everything was running smoothly. And we were only doing 2.5 hour sessions. So literally within a few hours, the whole thing, everyone had literally mentally changed on to being able to work online. But we did it step by step. And we broke down everything we were asking people to do. And we were getting them to do that little bit. And then we were working with it. Then we would bring something else in. And then they would try that. We would work with it. And then we'd bring something else in after that.
So chunking it down, taking baby steps, one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And slowly, obviously.
And also leading people, helping people understand the process. We also did the learning process of the unconscious incompetence and then into conscious competence. So I brought that slide up right at the beginning. We set the expectations for you'll get confused, but the confusion comes before understanding. You'll get frustrated, you'll get annoyed with yourself. That's okay. It's just your brain trying to fit everything in. So it's setting expectations and it's allowing people to feel comfortable with their discomfort while they're moving through the change.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And I'm a great believer in understanding, obviously, consciously what's going to be happening unconsciously.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, you know, with love, a lot of the NLPers, you know, we get on with it and trust and say, hey, trust the system. And the system works. Not that it doesn't work, but, you know, kind of let's explain you what you're going to go through. I'm a great believer in that.
Yeah, it helps people feel comfortable. And when they do start to feel frustrated, they're okay with it because they know it's coming. They know it's natural. They know it's normal. Yeah.
Rachel, I wanted to ask you for our beginners, listeners that, you know, maybe have just read a couple of books and maybe done some online, maybe they've been here and they never did or they haven't done any training with Richard or haven't learned the NLP practitioner. In your experience and what happened to you, what happened, and I know what happened because, you know, you literally transformed. But what happened to you? What did NLP give you that you didn't have before?
My life. Basically, there are no words to describe what NLP has given to me, what Richard gave to me. The day that I decided to do an NLP practitioner course, and it wasn't for my personal use, it was because I was a therapist and I wanted some more tools in my tool bag, and somebody had told me, you've got to see Richard Bandler, you've got to train with him. I said, okay. The personal transformation, I couldn't even begin to describe it. Yeah, I mean, even thinking about it now, it overwhelms me. And I would say that it should be on the national curriculum. Everybody should learn NLP. It was the best decision I have ever made. And and just sort of being here with everybody now, it's like, it takes me back, and it makes me want to dip my toes back in the water and be part of it again. Not that it ever leaves me, but
in your case in particular, I know you came from a place where, you know, you had a lot of, and I'm just saying, some personal issues, challenges that you were going through, you know, insecurities and things. And I remember kind of like, you know, when Rachel was explaining that, I said, this cannot be possible. This is not the person, because this is the most confident person I've met. And you know, you had not only a phenomenal set of skills, but, you know, you were so outgoing, and you helped so many people on that journey of being NLP trained. I've always believed there's a before and after. You know, when it comes to NLP, and it just simply puts you in a completely different trajectory on your life. And for me, it's been beautiful to see, as a promoter, having worked with Richard for so many years, to see so many lives change, and so many lives change in such a big, massive way.
I think that's the thing. People that know me now, whoever I tell my story to, they cannot believe or fathom that I was ever a girl that would never say boo to a goose, that my self-esteem was so far on the floor that I was practically horizontal, lying down horizontal, that I was too scared to go into a shop to buy something. I mean, they're like, no, it's a lie. You weren't really like that. And I was. And I remember Richard talking once, in a seminar, we probably said it loads of times actually, that when you get to the point where you don't recognize the person that you used to be, that you are so dissociated from that person, then that's when change has taken place. And when I talk about the person that I used to be, I am so dissociated from her. She is not a part of me. It's like I'm talking about somebody else. But it was and I think that's why I was so successful working for you, Bernardo, in helping people make the right decision to train in NLP, because you know, I've been through it, and I've got through the other end, and it was the best thing I ever did. And I think, like I said, I think everybody should train in it.
Well, I think, thank you, Rachel. And I think one of the things that there is definitely a before and after, and it has been life-changing for so many people. And I mean, particularly kind of like, you know, my journey, well, you know, I lost my money again at the age of 38 for the second time. And I started an NLP training company with no experience, having trained with Richard, which was pretty scary, me trying to negotiate fees with him. You know, just when I finished my training, that was the most scariest thing I've ever done. And he invited me to his room, which was even more scary. I thought, this man's going to not only hypnotize me, he's going to beat me up. And I don't know how, anyway, I agreed to all his terms. And but anyway, you know, looking back now from when I started, I have absolutely no experience in well, I only had learned NLP, but then, you know, kind of do what I do now. And I actually did that last year when I looked back at what I've kind of done and achieved in the last 10, 11 years. And I would have never thought that, you know, I'm a completely different person that left Spain, you know, to start all over again 10, 11 years ago. So it's definitely had a massive impact in my life. Larysa, where are you? What are you working on now? And what do you feel you need to do more of?
What to do more of?
Yeah, as far as, you know, if you have, I mean, for example, and I'm not throwing any ideas at you, I'm just trying to say to me, for example, I personally, I'm improving my skills as a coach and as a mentor with learning more about wealth management, you know, learning more about, you know, stock, learning more about how to, you know, build wealth. Because to be honest, it's not something that I've done in all my life. But I feel that as a coach and as a mentor, I need to carry on improving my skills. You see, because I've always felt that I'm very or relatively well read. I'm always interested in new technology, what's out there. So, you know, kind of I absorb a lot of information, but I'm now taking this information that I get and I'm making sure that I'm filling in the gaps where I can become even a better coach, a better mentor. It's not only about helping you become a better speaker, providing new stages, how to write a book and all that. I want to go deeper. So what are you doing, if anything, in order to kind of like, you know, improve your skill set?
Yeah, actually, I take this time very serious. I decided to become better version of myself. So I'm taking different courses. One of them is transactional analysis. Then I'm also studying metaphoric association cards. And in May, I will have also meta modeling in NLP course. So for me, I'm just trying to different fields. So everything which I don't have time before, now I have this time, I have this opportunity, and I'm trying to use this time wisely.
Perfect.
Exploring different parts of psychology, of psychotherapy, of NLP.
Okay, cool. Well, listen, it's all part of the process of becoming and doing more. So, Paul, where are you? What are you going to be exploring more of, if anything?
What I've actually done is I've connected to a group in America called Unbeatable Mind, which is actually Navy SEAL mental training and physical training. But I'm doing group coaching with them, part of their group coaching. So I'm learning all about that, really immersing myself in that. I'm in month 4 of that. So I'm kind of getting a bit obsessed with it, really. I suppose positive mindset, strong mindset, how to break through barriers, how to stay stable in a crisis like the current situation, how to stay calm, etc. And a little, I want to call it fetish. I'm a bit obsessed at the moment with David Goggins. So I don't know if anyone else in the room knows him, but I really resonate with his story. A lot of his principles, I adapt that to some of my coaching as well. Very simple, very straightforward, very powerful, very inspirational, but not for everybody. And there's certain parts of it that are probably still not relevant to myself. But it's about finding what resonates with you. So those two together, running at the same time, as I say, one Unbeatable Mind and one David Goggins, learnings from both sides. It's just about keep immersing myself, and I almost find myself coming out with the phrases that I've heard, and I sort of didn't even know that I'd heard it, and it's obviously in the subconscious, and it just reels off the tongue. But it's definitely effective to change people's mindset patterns, whatever issues they've got.
Perfect. Yeah, and the book that I'm not sure. I think you are referring is "So You Can't Hurt Me." I highly recommend it. I've listened to his book in the audio version, and what I love about it, he's got his writer who he put the book together with reading the book, but it also has kind of like a podcast feel, because then Dave Goggins comes in at the end of each chapter. This man is absolutely mental in a good, beautiful, positive kind of way. What he's got his body through as a native deal, and the mindset that he has is definitely one worth modeling, and I'm a great believer as an NLPer, and I know that a lot of us are so immersed in NLP, and we love NLP, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we need to model from other people out there in completely different fields. Because,
definitely.
There's some phenomenal expertise. Elvis, so I've literally got another guest or two joining us, and we're pretty much done. I wanted you to recommend me out of the books that maybe you've read, and either NLP or not. What are your recommended reads or books that have really impacted you? I always think it's nice to share that, because it can help other people.
Well, I've tried to read everything that Dr. Bandler has written, and not only do I do that, I sort through all the exercises and do them and practice with them. All the newer books, especially Transformations, Get the Life You Want. Those are great books, and I'm sure there's more to come. But I also look at the Ericksonian materials, Milton Erickson's works. I still dig into those. There's a lot of collections that he has that I'm still learning from. There's a couple other ones out there. The Handbook of Hypnotic Suggestion and Metaphors for Hypnosis is a good one. Also, another good book is Hypnotic Phenomena by Edgett and Edgett. They did a really good job, because I work with hypnotic phenomena on a regular basis, or what I could now call neurophenomena, with the neuroscience model. I'm reading neuroscience every day, 3 to 5 hours a day, believe it or not. So I'm in the process of writing a couple things, and but also creating techniques from how we can run our brain. And so I find myself just amazed by the various things that they do, and the experiments, and they're pretty much all the same, but they never create a technique. And so I find it a rich look at how people are, utilizing the the brain and the nervous system, and how to get very basic with that, like brain-based behavior. So with the neuroscience as it is, I know NLP is based on neuroscience. It has to be. Basically know that they've modeled that to a T, and we're going to find that out, and it's going to be amazing that we've been doing this for 4 decades and people finally realize, more than 2 to 3 million. There may be more now, right? But the whole planet awakened to it. So
perfect. Well, Elvis, I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you so much for sharing your expertise. I'm very excited about us exploring and putting some of your content on the Best You Online. So more to come. And any of you that are watching, look, we've got more than 60 NLP Live talks, including Dr. Richard Banner, John Kathleen Abdalla. So we've got some phenomenal content in NLP, but there's a lot more courses and a lot more information coming your way. So Elvis, I want to thank you so much for being here, and looking forward to catching up with you soon.
Excellent.
So Paul, you've recommended a couple of books. I wanted to thank you so much for being here too. Keep up the good work. Rachel, I wanted to ask you, obviously, because you know pretty much all of Dr. Richard Bandler's work. When you started, you were promoting or selling all of his books. But either Richard's work or any other books in particular that kind of have helped you and inspired you?
Transformation, the original one. I absolutely love that one. Also, Get the Life You Want. I recommend that to everybody that's a beginner. And Paul McKenna's book, Change Your Life in 7 Days.
Absolutely.
They're really easy layman's books that you can really, if you're a beginner, you can get into fantastic techniques, exercises. And I think they've both got now a CD at the back. Do CDs still work these days? I don't know.
Well, I don't know what they did.
We have CD players, but if anybody's starting out on their NLP journey, I would recommend definitely Get the Life You Want, Richard Bandler, and Change Your Life in 7 Days, Paul McKenna. And if you can get hold of Richard's original transformations, that's fantastic.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Dr. Hisham, I can see you're there. I'm happy to let you in now. We're going to be here for another 10, 15 minutes. I'd love to let you in. Fiona, you in particular, out of the things that you're reading, either NLP or not, what in particular is something that has helped you? I mean, I'll share a couple of books that have really helped me and supported me. I will reinforce something what Rachel was saying. I mean, the book that got me in NLP was Paul McKenna's Change Your Life in 7 Days. That was a book that got my attention, because it did mention a lot of Dr. Richard Bandler, and it was pretty much a lot of his work. But it was a book that brought me in to NLP. And then there's a lot of great books that I've loved from Richard. Obviously, I mean, I particularly like Persuasion Engineering. I also like Get the Life You Want. I was a great massive fan of the Personal Enhancement CD series, which was extremely powerful product, and with Richard's voice on it. It can only be that. So, Fiona, for you, what books have helped you?
The one that really brought me into NLP was Frogs into Princes.
Oh, okay.
Bandler's Frogs into Princes. I read probably in 1988, 89.
Okay.
And I trained in hypnotherapy in 1990. And then I went back and reread Frogs into Princes and just laughed. I just kept laughing the whole way through the book. And that's when I went, I don't want to be the serious therapist side. It didn't fit with me. The Frogs into Princes, the way that Richard would really help people to see their problems as not being serious, to being something they could change. And that's what brought me in. And I did my first training in 1995. And yeah, that's the one. And the one that's non-NLP is Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief.
Okay.
I love some of the work that's coming out from the quantum physicists and the neuroscientists. And also I do a lot of browsing on YouTube, and just to see some of the work that's happening with people. And Brené Brown, some of the work she's doing around vulnerability. So it's quite a mix, but all about attitude. It's all about attitude, and the central theme is we can control our inside world.
Yeah, thank you. I love that. I actually love Brené. I mentioned Brené Brown's Braving the Wilderness. I've got I've got her new book. I haven't read it, listened to it yet, but Braving the Wilderness was a beautiful book from Brené, which I really love. Hey, Mojca, how are you? So Mojca is a certified master practitioner of NLP and personal performance coach, working with purpose-driven women who want to live a more mindful, joyful, successful life. Where are you?
I'm based in London.
Oh, based in London. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we have pretty much, London. You're in Tampa, aren't you, Elvis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's right.
Cool. And I'm in LA and Santa Monica. Someone has to, and I just thought maybe me. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, it's terrible. The weather's so good over here, and you can still go and walk out, which is lovely. So, Mojca, tell us how are things with you, and how are you making yourself busy? How are you working with clients, and what are you advising them?
Yeah. First of all, the weather's been amazing here in London as well. Can't believe it's like the British summer started early. So, I've been basically the main thing that when I work with clients, it's interesting that maybe based on the work that we've been doing so far, but they're keeping quite well. They're keeping quite, in good spirits. And the main thing that I want to convey to my clients or potential clients, I have a mini Facebook group, and everyone I speak to is that this is time to choose how you want to show up. It's not about, being kind of dragged around by the circumstance. Circumstance is always there, but we always have a choice. So for me, that's where NLP comes in so strongly. Being aware, being able to go a bit meta on yourself, being able to, take charge of your state and actually choose how you want to respond in the moment, as well as, have the eye on the outcome that you want to achieve with your behavior. So, yeah.
And what are you finding? What are you finding are kind of the common denominators, if any, or what are the common denominators that people really need help with or are struggling with?
Yeah. So in general, I was listening to the discussion, by the way, on Facebook, in the Facebook group so far, until my slot kind of arrived. And I was thinking about, what I use with clients, what they kind of benefit from most is really giving them the rein to their own internal experience. The sub-modalities work really in NLP terms. It's for them to recognize, oh my God, this is happening within me. I was never aware of it. Kind of become aware of it and become aware that they can change it. So they can change it themselves. So for me, it's really teaching them the tools that they can use. Then not just doing the work in the session. Of course, some processes I have to do, like the swish pattern, the behavior change, new behavior generator, all those timeline things. But for them to be able to recognize what's going on inside them when they're not feeling as they want to feel, to be able to catch themselves, notice, and then change that, I think that's really powerful, especially in this time. Because the fear seems to be like the default, but we don't have to go to the default. We're conscious people, aren't we? So that's, what I've been trying to get across.
Yeah, I think the challenge with a lot of people is they get in their own way, don't they? We were talking about that last time, is that people get in their own way and they start building this thing in their, these thoughts in their heads, which are just obviously kind of being extremely detrimental. And I know we take it for granted, but I've been talking about that and sharing, especially in other communities that aren't so NLP driven, is around the being aware of our internal dialogue and aware of our thoughts. But I remember that was kind of the first thing that really got my attention in NLP. And I was sharing that, I think, at the beginning with Elvis, is that I was saying that for the first time at the age of 38, I was aware of my thoughts. Kind of like, I thought, oh my God, I'm actually, I am talking to myself, and am I being positive or not? Can I change this? And I think that's kind of the most important skill that we learn with NLP is that awareness of, oh yeah, I do have an internal dialogue. And I know Richard always says, and that internal dialogue that is telling you haven't got an internal dialogue, that's the one that we're referring to. So it's simple, but a lot of people obviously have never learned that or haven't experienced that.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Internal dialogue and internal pictures, both together, right? They completely create the experience. So if you, when you're aware of it, you can harness that for your, for how to say, for the best outcome that you're after, really. And in the moment and long term, I think as well. I think in this time as well, what I would just want to say, it's important to not just go with, like I said, the fear kind of being the default, but being able to conjure those positive possibilities of the future in our minds as well. So we have something positive to almost look forward to, right? Just like you said before, this will come to an end, right? We will get through this and out of this. And I guess the way we practice our tools now is going to kind of decide how strong we're going to come out on the other side. Yeah, just wanted to add that. I think it's really an opportunity to practice.
Jeni's there. Hey, Jeni, how are you? I was just going to say that I'm going to invite you in. And Dr. Hisham, if you want to join, just simply turn your camera on and we're good to go. Jeni Campbell, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thank you. So Jeni is you're a trainer at least, aren't you, Jeni? Or I know you're a master planner.
I am, yes, I'm training now.
Trainer training, personal enhancement. She's done more courses than Richard, and but she's also you've been helping a lot of people with yoga. I know you've been coaching people for a long time. So Jeni, has been an NLP student for many years. And Jeni, funny enough, she reached out to me a couple of weeks ago, as many have, and said to me, "Hey Bernardo, what are you doing? What's happening? We need to do some stuff." And I said, "Oh my God, I haven't stopped since I got here." So now I said, we got a lot going on, and I wanted to invite Jeni to come along and share a few ideas. And Dr. Hisham, hey, thank you for being here. Dr. Hisham is a New Zealand doctor practicing holistic laser dental surgeon. He's also a professional educator and transformational speaker, NLP master practitioner, and inventor of the world's first holistic oral care. Brilliant. Are you based in New Zealand?
Yes, I am in Auckland.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, great. Well, you win the prize from the furthest point at the most awkward time. I actually had
the earliest riser.
What? Sorry.
The earliest riser of the day. I had to wake up at 5 o'clock.
I had a client of mine, Stephen Core. He was from Australia, going in at 3 a.m. So last time I did a Back to Expo community over there. So thank you both for joining us. Now we've been chatting away, talking about different kinds of things. So Jeni, in particular, what are you doing, and what do you think we need to be doing more of, or people should be doing more of?
So I've been doing walking, yoga, teaching yoga online, breathing. I've just literally, while I was late coming on, just literally done an online meditation. And for me, it's like we get into, I know for me, especially when I first started NLP, it was like, oh, I need to change this belief, I need to do this. And I got myself into a big, but it's like in yoga, it's like when you come to the quiet, we go above the thinking, before the thinking, we can reach our peace. And kind of life just sorts itself out. And I just think the life's a mirror, so the more we can find our own inner peace and our own quiet, then we shine it out and it kind of shines back. So just getting quiet, really, just getting quiet, focusing on what feels good.
And obviously, so you're still doing a lot of yoga instructing, I suppose, from home. You can see everyone on Zoom doing all sorts of exercise and all sorts of things. So how are you finding it? I'm sure a lot of your clients and customers are very appreciative and thankful for it. So how is this working for you now, and how are you experiencing? How are you feeling it?
So I just couldn't only think that it's going to bring a lot of good. There's times when I go into my thinking, I'm like, oh, but I can just think that it's good. And teaching online, I wasn't going to teach online because I didn't want to jump on the big bandwagon, but for me, I've got a lot of older people and they all come together on Zoom, and it's an absolute lifesaver for them. They come and they say it gives them normality. It's something to get up for in the evening. It's a meditation that helps them sleep. So, and I just think for me, it's going to teach people to calm down, to slow down, to be quiet. They're listening to their bodies. So as much as there's going to be an economical kind of boom, I think the other things are going to come up too.
And Dr. Hisham, how are things with you, and how are you experiencing, you know, connecting with, working with your clients? How are you helping them? How are you advising them on the best things to do?
Well, we are in full lockdown in New Zealand for, this is the 3rd week now. So the clinic, the dental clinic, because I do so many things anyway, the dental clinic is closed officially, but we can open up to see emergencies for our own guests. That's how we call our patients. So we are still doing some dental work, just in emergencies, but not open fully. So the rest of the time, I'm obviously at home or at the clinic by myself, recording videos, writing. I always write a lot anyway. And it's more like everybody's saying, sharing here more. I've always been doing stuff online, but now doing it more, sharing a lot of my messages that I've learned over the years, from ozone therapy to vitamin C IV, to how to overcome all this, to what I'm grateful for, to how to calm down, activate your parasympathetic nervous system, protect the mucosal lining inside your mouth and your throat, so on and so forth. So from everything from coaching to just sharing knowledge and experiences, and showing, not just sharing words, but showing people how to get over it, and always asking the question whether we're in fear or just totally frozen out of that fear, basically, as we are now. Always ask yourself the question, how do I know that this is what it is, basically, and try to find out, rather than dwell on, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to us? Well, why is it never a good question that we can answer anyway? So how am I showing up? How am I feeling? How is it changing me? What is going on that I can deal with? That's a much better question there.
Yeah, and deal with what you can deal with, you know, control what
Absolutely.
you can control.
That's
And
it.
the rest. And it is obviously, I think, again, one of the essential skills that I've learned with NLP is obviously asking the right questions will provide you the right answers, and asking yourself empowering questions. And so, you know, it is all about that, you know, what's on the other side, you know, how more motivated can I become, you know, how much more can I do, what am I capable of doing, what's the positive outcome of this, you know, so consciously and unconsciously you're going to start finding the answers for that. So as far as I'm curious in how does it work with what you do with being the inventor of the world's first holistic oral care? How does that work?
So it's a holistic oral care system where we don't actually have a toothpaste, because I'm totally against anything that's cold or looks like toothpaste, which is all abrasives, soaps, and detergents, which you should never put on your mucosa. Because, for example, with this COVID-19, great example, currently I've been talking about leaky mouth for 17 years now, and trying to fix that, but now it's very obvious. All of these viruses and respiratory viruses I'm talking about, and of course all the bad bacteria that go into us come through the mouth, unless you're cut or injected with a virus or bacteria, of course. So through the mouth, through the mucosa. So protecting that mucosa is critical. Protecting your good microbiome, the good bacteria that help you and support you in fighting the bad bacteria and the viruses, is very important. So generally oral care products out there, Listerine, all these other mouth rinses that have copied Listerine since then, alcohol, acid, all crap, toxifying to the human body by signaling disease and breaking down your mucosa, all that delicate mucosa. So it allows more of the disease to enter, to leak through, as it breaks down your immune system and your good bacteria. So we don't have any acids. We have an alkaline mouth rinse, which is the opposite of, obviously, acid, alcohol-free and oxidizing. So it kills the viruses, kills bad bacteria, while it nurtures and stimulates healing in the mouth, therefore the body. And a serum that you brush with. It's literally a serum, not a toothpaste. It's actually nutrition. It's basically an oral care supplement that helps you clean as well and maintains health and integrity of your whole body and your microbiome. And there's more to the system than these two things, but the whole thing, how you brush, what you brush with, what you ingest, because everything you ingest, all these things, they stay in your mouth and they go through your body, keep them in. If you have to spit it out because it's toxic, why are you putting it in every day? And unfortunately, that's the case with 99.9% of even so-called natural oral care products, which are just copycats of other stuff. So we changed that whole system.
Well, I was going to say that kind of I've been talking on other panels that I've been having over the week, so obviously about kind of our immune system and obviously how important it is to have a strong immune system. You know, we've been talking about as well about eating well, nutrition. You know, if you're eating crap, you're not exercising. You know, that obviously has a negative impact in building a good, strong immune system. But also, I suppose, to a degree, in order to have a good, strong immune system, it is also about living with less stress and also focusing more on positive thoughts, isn't it? Because again, there's a lot of people that attract that because they're just negatived out, aren't they? Is that correct?
Absolutely correct, 100%. The body is an expression of the mind activity, and the mind is purely an activity anyway. It's not a thing. Mind is meaningful intent to network with divine infinity. So that's how I describe everything. Every acronym has a definition for me, otherwise I can't work with it. Even love, law of vibrational equilibrium. That's what love is. It's a state of equilibrium between good and bad all the time. So with the mind activity, like you said, it's balancing that and noticing where the body is within this activity, and how can we modulate. What can we become aware of, and what can we modulate up and down to help that body that we express through stay in a state of being able to balance back, which is what health is. So health is a balancing activity of awareness and modulation. So you're always helping your body and your immune system and everything else rise up in its ability to modulate its defense by being more and more aware and creating intentional choices.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. Jeni, as far as exercise is concerned, you know, with you, with yoga, and obviously, you know, mindfulness, meditation, and, you know, piecing and quieting the mind, it is really important. And I think a lot of people underestimate how important it is. You know, we don't, I particularly started a completely different routine where I started fasting, you know, and I eat 2 meals a day now, and I fast for a kind of long time, but I exercise a lot stronger than I used to, meditate a lot stronger, and I've actually never felt better than I've been feeling these last couple of years. So how important is a lot of the additional things that we do apart from the mind and how we think, the exercise aspect?
So for me, yoga is like a vehicle. It's not the exercises that you do get the benefit from the exercises, but the reason why is because, like the doctor just said, it takes you out of your thinking. When you're focused on how you're moving, it takes your thinking into a state of, like, yoga means to union back to your true self being your state that is love, that is joy, that is peace. So as I get people to focus on just how they're moving, it takes their body back into that state. So the mind and the body become back into union, and like the doctor said, it's like that equilibrium of from inside and outside, and just being able to become aware of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, because people are so disconnected from their bodies, because we're so out there in the world. It's coming into your body. And, you know, there's a lot of yoga now that's become fitness based, which is okay, but it's just not what I do. Therapeutic yoga, so it's about, you know, not pushing the body, not pulling the body, like the doctor said, going with what your body already can do. Muscles move bones. We don't need to move muscles. We don't need to squeeze or tighten, which is tension. It's unwinding the tension, letting the breath flow, taking yourself back to the connection to love, knowing that your body's always moving towards balance anyway, and just kind of getting out of the way. And so for me, it's like, it's just all of that mixed together is just so important for well-being, so important.
Amen.
You know, when we're in stress, your immune system goes down. So as I take people through the movements, just letting their body do what they do, their body's going back into calm and relaxed. So yeah, it's really important.
So, Doctor, I was going to ask you, for example, as well, with doing what you do, where you help people with dental care, and again, for those that think that we will never ever get to go to the dentist or get to go to a nightclub or get to go to a restaurant, yes, you will. Okay, so because the doctor can't actually fix your tooth from Zoom, can you? No,
unfortunately not. Those micro robots have not come around yet.
Good, he's good, and NLP is that good, but not that good. So what are you, or how do you use NLP techniques when you're actually dealing and talking with clients? And I'm talking about when they're with you and you're helping them with some dental care. How do you use NLP, or how has that come into your set of skills to be able to, I don't know, either cure them faster, get them to be more open to change? How does it work?
Wonderful question. Thank you for that. And the answer is two ways. One, to help them manage fear as you've just mentioned, nobody really likes being at the dentist, no matter how much high tech we use. And I use like the ultimate high tech in the world, basically. I'm one of the top 1% in terms of technology using lasers and microscopes and all that stuff. And I teach all that. But that doesn't matter to the guest sitting in that chair at that moment in time. They're not there because of me and my cool technology. They're there for what's in it for me, like as in for them. And it's usually fear. So I use NLP techniques a lot to help them manage that fear and overcome, basically earn trust, create the rapport, earn the trust, because they actually don't even know what I can do. They're not seeing what I can sell them, basically. I'm selling them a service that is to be done yet. I'm not selling them a thing. So we've got to earn the trust first and overcome the fear. So we use the NLP techniques a lot there. And then, of course, secondarily, although initially it's in my primary intention, is to, for lack of a better word, it's to educate. I'm not saying they're ignorant, but most people, yes, they do not know how to look after themselves, especially, not especially, but including professional colleagues, dentists and doctors. The majority just, just go with what they're told by the authorities and all these things. So we help them open up their minds and open up their awareness and use audio, visual, kinesthetic techniques all at the same time to raise their awareness so that they can stay at a state of health from then on. So they come for a specific problem or specific pain or whatever. Yes, we're here to help you solve that technically, basically, but then there's the rest of it, which is where are we going to go from here? How am I going to help you get to health and stay at that health point for life, including using the right products, including using the right techniques. But it's first awareness. They have to be aware and want it, and inducing that desire in them, changing their state basically and making that last. This is exactly where I use my NLP techniques.
Okay, perfect. Well, I've known, and obviously we have known, or some people might not necessarily know, but we've had all sorts of people attend NLP courses over the years. I think people underestimate the amount of different professions that have come and joined us at the NLP training, but we've had thousands and thousands and thousands of doctors training in NLP. We've had lawyers, obviously lots of business entrepreneurs, teachers. There's been a lot of work done in teachers, teaching teachers how to communicate, how to be able to build rapport, how to be able to communicate and to educate the educators, and also to be able to communicate at the level that the children need in school. So it's been used and applies in so many different ways, and it's so beautiful to see how it's filtering through. So I've got a couple of more questions for a few of you that are still here, and I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank all of you that are watching. And remember, we have lots of resources available at NLP Life Training through the blog. On the Best You Online, we've got all the NLP Live Talks. If you're listening to this and you've got some content, please feel free to contact us, because we're looking for more courses on our platform. And we will be back. We've got courses scheduled for October for NLP, but additionally to that, there's loads of coaching and mentoring opportunities with a lot of you guys. So Jeni, what's next for you? What are you going to be doing differently? What are you going to be? How's the new Jeni in the block going to come out when we finish? What's going to happen?
For me, it's just to kind of do more courses online, so it's more accessible. I've always wanted to do it, but just kind of bit tech phobia, but this has made me do it. So some more online, and also just it's watching people on Facebook and in their lives, just how people are so in fear. So it's really to get people to step into their own power and to feel good about themselves, and like you say, be the best of you that you can be.
Yeah, and I want to take this opportunity to invite you, because one of the things that I've had the pleasure and the honor of doing is not only working with Richard and John and Kathleen, and having run these seminars for so many years, kind of through the Best You, I've built a pretty impressive brand now with lots of expos that we've done. But I'm always looking for people to come forward, people to come forward to say, hey, I've got something to share. I've got something that I wanna put out there, because we've got the platform. So I invite any of you that have that expertise to stand up, to stand out, to share it, to come forward, because you don't understand, or you might underestimate the value of your knowledge and how much it can help and inspire other people. And you might not see that, but you can. And again, not all of you want to become international speakers, or might not want to, but a lot of you might have a career and opportunity. And if that's something that you want to do, well, reach out to me because we've got the platform. And we're going to be running these. I'm going to release. So I run this now on a Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm running another one on a Saturday. I literally sit on the chair for 3 hours and 3 hours. I've got webinars going on, like 3 or 4 webinars a week. And we're launching the Best You online. We're looking at launching the Best You TV. I'm publishing my book in English audio version. I'm reading the Spanish version. So, you know, kind of, I'm launching the shop, the Best You shop now. So there's going to be T-shirts and all sorts of great stuff happening in the next 2 or 3 weeks. That's coming soon. So kind of like, you know, I feel personally that I have to stand up. So, and I have to stand out because, you know, I've set myself this bar of always pushing. And I just tell you, when you start feeling uncomfortable, when each and every one of you start feeling uncomfortable, you're in the right place. When you start feeling that you can't do it, you're in the right place. When you feel that it's too much, you're in the right place. So keep pushing, keep going. Because again, if you are NLP trained, you have a phenomenal set of expertise and you know it. So stop chickening out, stop hiding behind the camera and just get in front. Like Rachel Joseph was saying to me today, my lovely Rachel Joseph said to me, Bernardo, you know, we're in touch now and then, but she was watching one of the webinars the other day. And I said, well, you're going to join us? She said, I have nothing to share. I said, oh my God, do you have something to share? So it was lovely to have you here, Rachel, and lovely to share, you know, kind of your insights on things. So something else you want to leave us with?
I want to say something about you, actually. Because nobody's talking about you, but as Bernardo said, I've known him for many years. I was actually he was doing his trainer training program and I was in charge of marking his video when he was learning to train at that time. So we go back a long way, and he hasn't asked me to do this, and I'm not being paid to do this at all, but I have seen Bernardo come from nothing and rise to challenges, go through some really difficult times. And I'm proud to have worked with him, and seeing him today and listening to you now, Bernardo, with all those things that you're doing, it is just incredible. And you are a real inspiration. And anybody that's looking to be coached, he's your man, because he's been there and he's done it. And really, I look at you now and see how far you've come, and you're amazing. And being able to share that with so many people that you're doing now is a real blessing. So thank you for having me talking today, and thank you for being you, and everything that you do, because we're thanking everybody here, but I want to just take a moment to thank you, because you faced some tough times and adversity, and look at you now. Amazing.
Well, thank you so much, darling. Thank you so much. My Amazon gift voucher will be on its way now in 10-15 minutes. No, thank you. Listen, Rachel's made my life easy. You know, when I started the company, I took over from McKenna Training. When Paul was running the training, there was a team of 14 people, I think, 7 or 8 selling the NLP, 7 or 8 selling the weight losses, and I took over at a terrible time. This was when the whole economy was going down the drain, and eventually the team, Rachel was the first person I wanted on my team, and the team downsized, and at the end it was just Carla, who I love and miss still, and Rachel and myself, and the 3 of us ran these ridiculous amount of seminars together. And we did it from a place of like working really hard. So no, look, I mean, thank you, Rachel. That was very kind. I mean, for me, I've hit rock bottom quite a few times. There's no doubt that NLP has provided me a set of skills that I couldn't have done what I've done without Richard's work and without me sitting in those bloody seminars and listening to him unconsciously. I don't know what the hell he's done to me, but you know, I keep going. So I love it. But you know, kind of, I'm like a lot of you. You know, I struggle. I have my dark days and my dark moments, and I question a lot of the things that I do. But I always get up the next morning. Like I say, I get up like Rambo, put that knife in my mouth, and I just get into the jungle and see what's out there. But I think there's no other way, but I do really believe that the world needs leaders more than ever. I think the whole well-being industry is more exciting than ever. I think, you know, we're coming into a new time, a new era, where people not only will need help, but will you know, there's opportunities for a lot of you to really stand out and make a difference. So I've been there. I've read the book. I've been in the seminar. I've promoted the people. So I've got all aspects, and I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. So I do get it. Thank you so much, Rachel. Take care, and lovely seeing you here today. Fiona, anything you wanted to leave us with? Anything you want to share?
Just one thing that you brought up earlier on about self-talk. Just at this point of time, what you should just be very aware of what you're saying to yourself and what you're focusing on, because we're taking in a tiny percentage of what's there. So if what you're saying is not resourceful and what you're focusing on is what you don't want to focus on, change it. Because just by doing a simple change in self-talk, you change completely how you feel.
Brilliant. Great advice. And it works every single time. Works every single time. Elvis, any last thoughts you want to share with us?
Yeah, always remember your emotional state affects you and your behavior and your performance every step of the way. Learning, memory, perception, relations, communications, etc. And so, but it is always within your control. And I know that's a surprising realization, and it affects your body. So your mind and body are one, and take care of your body and your mind, and you'll be just fine.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much. Mojca, anything you wanted to share with us?
Yeah, I guess the last thing, I'll share something that kind of occurred to me. It's really important and quite at the heart of NLP is to be flexible in this time, because it is sort of, life is actually always uncertain, right? It seems that it's more uncertain now, but it's always uncertain, and flexibility I find so important to, you know, it's almost, you know, that analogy of a tree in the wind or in a storm. The more flexible it is, it can bend and move and adapt, and if it's rigid, it's going to break. So I think flexibility is something to cultivate, to practice daily, and yeah, feel stronger for it, you know. Being able to adapt, I think, is a really good skill to have.
That's great advice, Mojca. Someone sent me a picture yesterday, I think it was a tree that had fallen down, and the root was just still, obviously a very small part of the root was still in the ground, you know, but the rest of the tree was completely down, and it was completely green, you know. So basically it said that the tree had never gave up, and it was still beautiful and green. We have stronger roots than we believe we have. And I also want to recommend you and advise you, for those of you that are thinking in reinventing yourself or transitioning into doing something different, which might be recommendable if you're doing something that, you know, might not be too current, is to remember that you have a set of skills that you can always use for anything and everything that you do in life, you know. And I said that last week, you know. I used to work in nightclubs. Well, what has that got to do with running events? Well, quite a lot, actually. I found out with years, because I used to work in nightclubs. I used to bring a lot of people together. I just changed them from night with alcohol and something else, and to like day events and everything gathering together. So I think we all always have a set of skills that are transferable to a new reality, or can be expanded or enhanced, you know, to bring it into a new career. So never underestimate your experiences, never underestimate what you've learned, never underestimate what you've done, because it can be it is part of who you are, but it can also take you to kind of like that new you. And don't see reinvention as starting all over again and starting from scratch. It's just simply a new, better you. You know, kind of, I'm still Bernardo. That was Bernardo from the rock, you know, from the block that was working down in Spain. I'm just doing something different, and I'm looking at doing ways that can be different. Dr. Hisham, anything you would like to leave us with regarding, you know, anything with your set of skills that could be helpful to our listeners?
There's a lot to share, but I'll keep it very short. One of the main things is I agree with the whole team here, and with what Rachel said. I'm grateful for you, Bernardo. I'm grateful that we got a chance to meet up, and that you connected me, well, not directly yourself, but being there, being in that presence, connected me with some people that I made lifetime friends with, Alessandro, and more specifically with Orlando Zucchetto. We've become brothers, and we've done trainings here in New Zealand together. When he came back, when I invited actually him to come back last year, it was amazing. So, and that's really the point that I want to mention here. Out of this grace is the importance of us connecting and staying connected and being of better service to humanity, to each other, and always asking the question, how can I be more useful? How can I be of more service? The rewards will come back, but only as a second or secondarily to being of more value to the world. You're only valued as how other people value you. And if they don't know you exist or you have anything to offer, then what are you being rewarded for? So show up, turn up, be of better service. Always ask that question, not why are we here, because it's really simple. Why are we here? It's to serve each other. We're not here to serve the earth or serve anything else. It's better off without us, as we've all seen. The earth, we're the problem to it, but we are the solution to each other. So show up, ask yourself, how can I be of better service? What can I do better today for myself and the world around me? And therefore the reward shall come your way. Always connect and stay connected. I would leave it at that. Give other people a chance to speak.
That's brilliant. And again, we talked about that before. Reach out. You just don't know. Everyone's very generous with their time, and everyone is more than happy to help you and support you. And I've really felt that in the NLP community. I mean, this group that we have here, the Bandler McKenna one, where people are asking questions. Hey, how do you overcome that? How can you help this? And people are sharing. People are putting tips and advice there. And I welcome and I welcome all of you to continue to do so. Paul, any last thought you want to leave with us?
And what I'd like to say is that there's always a positive reframe in whatever's happening. And I'll tell you two personal experiences of that. I was 6 stone overweight and suicidal before I went on a personal development journey last year. NLP was massively instrumental in getting me to where I am now. So I'm 6 stone lighter and in good shape mentally and physically, but also in terms of positive reframe. I was on day 5 of the NLP course with Richard Bandler, and my sister was sectioned into mental health institution. And what I would say is that NLP helped me reframe her mind from doom and gloom, negativity, to a positive outlook, and she's back home now, and actually an inspiration to a lot of people around her. So my key point, there's always a positive reframe, and it's probably relevant to the current situation. Is it really as bad as some people believe it is? And just ask yourself that question: what if this is a lesson to us? What if there are better things to come?
Yeah.
Amen.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. Larysa, any last thoughts you want to leave with us?
Yes, last my advices which I want to tell, it's live in the present, adapt fast and react fast for all the changes, go with the flow. And, like all of us, we have a balance of life. So just to see what the parts of this, what spheres of this balance of life needs more focus now, and to give this focus, because now we have the time to focus on ourselves, on our physical body, on our mental health. So see on our relations, on our education, career. So it's time for us to think about which values we have, which we want to keep, which we want to have new. So it's a very good time, like just to focus on ourselves. So this is something which I want to give advice.
Brilliant. That's great advice. Well, listen, Jeni, I'm going to let you just finish off. What else would you like to leave us with? Oh, hold on.
People, it's great. And where your focus is what you get. So if you focus on the weed, you're going to get the weed. If you focus on the flower, you're going to get the flower. So just put your focus where you want it to be. And just to step into your own power, we quite often focus on all the bad and what we need to change. But if we just focus on that 10% of it that we can shine out, like you said, be the leader, be the change that we want to see in the mirror. So just step into your own power as much as you can. And thank you for doing this. It's been great.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. We'll be back here again next week. Elvis, thank you so much for being here. Paul, thank you. Rachel,
Thank you.
Lovely to see you. Fiona, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mojca, Larysa, and Jeni, and Dr. Hisham, thank you so much. Please, I look forward to hearing from you. Make sure you get in touch if I can help you, if we can assist you in any way, shape, or form. But in the meantime, stay well, and may the best be with you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
Lots of love.
you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.